Shit. Alright. It's live.
So, pretty good, bro. The camera was live?
Yeah,
Like it's going to the internet live?
YouTube or Insta?
it's live right now. On YouTube. Alright.
Well, once it's over, can they like rewatch it? Or is it just like a one-time thing?
In
I think
settings.
rewatch it.
Last time it was
Is your mic on?
uploaded.
Yeah, my mic's on.
Is my mic on?
Yep.
Check and see if the live streams are ready. No, on your phone. Can you?
Yeah, it actually just sent it to me.
What?
It just sent it to me on my phone.
Your subscriber.
Alright.
Is it working? Are you on it?
Oh. No.
I just wanted to make
I was on my Facebook.
I need to see how the video looks. Is what
I
I'm
just
trying to.
ate the paper with that.
Don't do that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me see.
So it's like everything we do, it's like delayed by like a second or two. But watch. Hold
Just hand me your phone.
on. One watching and I'm the only one
That's
watching.
fine. It can be viewed later.
Yeah.
I want to see how the volume is. That works. Hello, YouTube! Welcome to the Big Turkey and the Fat American Greed. You are listening to a live broadcast of the episode that we're doing on paranormal stuff. So, guys, say hi to YouTube.
Why is it sideways?
This is why
camera's
we're
over there.
famous
What's
all
up, bro?
over YouTube land.
Okay, we're
Why
about
is
to start.
the camera
We're about-
sideways, but like the videos?
Well, Griffin, because I have a face for radio, and that's why
It's
I'm off in the
called
corner.
landscape, and you have to turn your phone sideways to get it.
That's right.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yes.
Welcome back to another episode of Big Turkey. I am Tyler.
I am Griffin.
I'm Aaron.
Today we are doing a continuation of our paranormal research. Luckily, we have some faithful listeners, or one. We at least have one by the name of Brian, who sent us his request of us to talk about the Athens Lunatic Asylum in Athens, Ohio. Aaron,
Yes.
can you tell me any information on Athens?
On Athens.
The Lunatic Asylum.
Okay, so you wrote some notes down. Let me
I
get
don't know
those.
if you can read the handwriting.
Athens. Okay. The Athens Lunatic Asylum was established January 9th, 1874, and was well, I guess you would say not discontinued, but
It was discontinued.
it stopped having patients in 1993. So that's a pretty good run.
That's a long stint.
1874 to 1993.
So from Civil War era
That's
to
over 100 years.
Civil War era to the 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
They did all the fun procedures that are now illegal, such as lobotomies. There was a lot of lobotomies going on there, and if you guys don't know what that is,
It's like what Jeffrey Dahmer did to his sex patients.
well,
Drilling them in the side of the head and dumping the chemicals in there. Actually, it's releasing the blood, isn't it? What they thought was blood. Or
yeah,
something
they
along
thought.
the lines of
Okay,
that.
so my understanding of a lobotomy, I got this from Matthew Santoro information. I guess the doctors would assume that like blood pooled in your brain,
Made you crazy.
and so they would like take an ice pick and a hammer. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. You go.
And they would just kind of, thump you a few times with that ice pick to try to, drain that blood.
He fell over and his tongue sticking out. He's all right now. He's not depressed anymore.
He's not.
It's
he
because
is
he's
not
dead.
depressed. Dr. Freeman did over 3,400 lobotomies there. So 3,400 people had a bad day.
Yo, hold on. He did 3,400 in his career or at that facility.
I think just at the facility.
Even if that's his career and he's traveling around doing that, that's 3,400 people that he fucking
And like,
affected. Like that's
I guess
terrible.
most of them,
affected.
I guess most of the people that got lobotomies actually became like brain dead.
No.
Or
Throwing an
or
ice
died.
pick to your
And
side
I
of your
think
temple.
so. Don't quote me on this, but I think JFK had like a sister or a brother that got a lobotomy done.
Oh yeah, no,
and
you're
then
right.
They
You're
were
right about this.
they
We
were
talked
not-
about this during the Kennedy episode, one of the
And then-
bonus episodes.
they were not right after that. Okay, so
Something that's creepy to go along with that. That happened to many people, including a bunch of kids and a 4-year-old boy.
That's
yes,
right.
at the facility.
There is a graveyard at this specific facility in Athens. So how many unmarked graves are there that are just numbered?
I don't have this in front of me.
Let me see. I have it written down. There are 1,400 no-named graves. They're marked by numbers, and I believe there was something of 1,800 graves there, or something along the lines of that. Something where there should be names on every single grave because all lives matter. Even if they were sent to get ice picked to the side of their head. So there's many tortured souls on a spectrum. Yeah, so assuming that the place is haunted, which I believe, I mean something like this terrible, there's many tortured souls that stick around that want answers, you would think. So, allegedly, this place is haunted. I mean, there's a lot of like ghost hunting stuff that goes on down there, and it's a lot of people outside of Ohio know about the lunatic asylum, and this lunatic asylums in general that surrounded the Midwest and like Kentucky and West Virginia. Oh my gosh, it's all the same thing. They were there for something stupid. They ended up getting a lobotomy, and then they died, and they didn't have to.
Well, you got to think how far the medical science has come in the past 100 years, from 1919 to 2019. But unfortunately, back 1800s, early 1900s, stuff like that. I mean, it kind of hits home for me because
He had a lobotomy.
No, I didn't. I have a brother with special needs, and I just think, if he was born back in the 1800s or whatever, they would have just been like, oh, he's mentally insane, let's send him to this hospital for the rest of his life. People were sent there for any number of reasons.
Yeah.
For being, for having special needs to actually being full-blown like Ted Bundy. Everyone in between got, just kind of chucked in there.
And like the times and the places of the events that occurred at many other asylums, this asylum also suffered from overcrowding, which was a big part of, I think, pushing out the patients.
Yeah, they were putting up to 4 people in like rooms that were no bigger than 10 feet by 10 feet, which the room we're in is substantially bigger than that.
25 by 12.
Okay.
If you
Almost
wanted to know.
almost double.
Yes.
Alright, did you want me to talk about the...
I can improvise while you were bringing up whatever you want to talk
I
about.
already have it up.
What do you got?
Okay, so this is going to be pretty much verbatim from roadtrippers.com.
Ooh,
And
road trippers.
Yes, and we also found out on a few other websites to back up this information. So, in this insane asylum in Athens, Ohio, on December 1st, 1979, a patient by the name of Margaret Schillingly, I think, Schillling, so
Close
Schillingly, went missing despite the best efforts, and it says in quotations, poor, so like they didn't really care, despite the best efforts of the hospital staff. Margaret was nowhere to be found. It wasn't until 42 days later that her body was discovered locked in a long abandoned ward once used for
Hold on,
patients
okay.
with infectious
I'm
diseases.
sorry to interrupt. Her name was Margaret what?
Shillingsley.
Okay.
Margaret
So she was, from what I heard, pick up where you left off, but from what I heard, there was a game of hide and seek going around and they couldn't find her, and that's what led her to get lost. But I don't know how true that is.
I see.
How fucked up is that, though? Like, oh, we lost one, and then she was just like in the same building, but in an area they didn't
Well,
check.
you gotta think. I don't know, with that many people and that it being so substantially overcrowded, you would have think someone would have had to have seen her.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
So to pick up where I left off, okay, she was found in the basically the wing that was abandoned that was used for patients with infectious diseases. Tests showed that she had died from heart failure, yet she was found completely naked, her clothing neatly folded next to her body. Worse yet, to the horror of those who found her, Margaret had decayed so much that in fact a gooey imprint of her body had seeped into the concrete.
Now listen. Sorry to interrupt again. Keep that spot. Keep it.
Alright.
Alright?
Alright, keeping it.
Do you know when, like, people, like, hallucinate and shit? We just did an episode on this whole mushroom thing. But it's not besides the fact. But when they're about to die, because, like, overheating or overcooling, like, those... And they start getting all naked because they think they're, I don't know, warm. What if she just... what time of year did she die?
December 1st.
Well,
Okay, it said she went missing December 1st, but she was found 42 days later, so... She died somewhere between, December 1st to January 11th.
Okay. Yeah,
So it was pretty cold outside.
That's kinda,
Me personally, I just like to walk around my house naked.
yeah. So, what I don't understand is how ill-staffed they were, is something that we didn't really touch on. And a lot of people, like, we don't have the stats, but I'm assuming if they can't find one patient that obviously had mental health issues, what kind of place is that?
I have seen, I have heard that back in those days, that it was like one staff member to like 40 patients, which by today's standards is totally unheard of.
Not in the healthcare field, but like in the schooling systems now, they're having a big issue with
Understaffing?
understaffing. Yeah.
Okay, so to pick up where I left off, much to their dismay, the stain couldn't be scrubbed out no matter how hard they tried. This is the gooey imprint that her decaying body had left.
I heard it never goes away, and that's like a big attraction for people to go see.
I'm sorry if you're on your way to work and you're just getting hit with this on your morning commute.
Gooey attractions, though.
Oh boy. Okay, so the outline of her body can still be seen on the top floor of the asylum today. Some say that on clear nights, Margaret can still be seen trying to escape the room where she died, because the room they found her in was locked. You can't Google image the picture. It honestly just kind of looks like flour on the floor, like.
Oh my
like
god! It looks like
yeah, like you can kind of see like the outline.
Try to show YouTube.
Try to show YouTube. Well, YouTube.
Just run up there and pop it up there.
No, YouTube is on the internet. They can look it up.
What an asshole.
So yeah, basically this asylum is really old and supposedly, well, allegedly, very haunted.
Well,
I can say that just from looking at the pictures, it's had to have been ahead of its time. Looking at the architect layout, I mean it's huge. It was also called the Ridges.
yes.
That must have taken forever to build back in the 1800s.
My gosh, there were so many structures that popped up. We have a hidden episode that we haven't released, but we wrote about 3.5 months ago about Mansfield Reformatory.
Oh boy.
And there was a big special thing coming up on that still, alright? But, again, Civil War era built and stuff, and it took them a couple of years to build it, but it is a massive structure.
It is, it's huge.
And without the present day tools that we have to build now, it just blows your mind how stuff gets done.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Damn straight. Do you have anything else on this Athens Asylum?
I'm gonna put my vote in that once we get the ball rolling on our videos, we go there.
Yeah, I concur.
I got another thing.
I mean, it's not that far.
What's that?
Apparently, I saw this a while ago. Apparently, they've used their
Yeah.
Their patients?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
like mentally and physically abused.
Yeah.
them.
No doubt.
Like-
No, that especially with the lobotomies.
Yeah, I don't. God, like I'm not a doctor by any means, but I don't think I'd ever.
At what point do you think they were like,
Yeah.
so we've done this for curing cancer, we've done this for hepatitis, we've done this for people that lose his limbs, we've done this for depression, we've done this for cheating housewives.
Yeah. It fixes it
It
all.
doesn't work. They're just laying on the ground drooling. Like, at what point were they like, yeah, we gotta
We have to
stop.
stop.
I think it was sad as like this. I think it was the 70s. Was the last
I think
lobotomy.
it was like the 70s or 80s when they
Yeah.
finally were like.
Duh.
So this kind of, I don't know. Obviously, we live in a very advanced age, the most advanced age we've had so far.
They try to make it seem like that, but these
Yeah.
people, there are so many healthcare workers that probably don't know what the hell's going on.
So I'm wondering if in 100 years someone on their podcast is going to be like, oh my God, they were taking
cold medicine every time they got sick. What
Yeah.
dumbasses!
They were taking antibiotics. Those idiots.
And now I just jerk off.
Oh
Helps with
jeez.
everything.
What's crazy about the antibiotics is it's just bacteria.
Yeah. My
So,
grandmother is actually allergic to penicillin.
a lot. I don't want to say
I
a
know,
lot of
right?
people, but there's a good chunk of them. That kind of sucks. But
Yeah, she's allergic to a bunch of antibiotics.
you know what that means,
So when
right?
she gets sick, it's really hard to get her on a good, straight and narrow path.
She's a hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid.
She's got that hybrid. It means her mom and dad were brother and sister.
Sweet Alabama.
I'm just playing.
Ouch.
Oh, that was funny though. That was good.
Oh, man.
All right.
My family listens to this.
And I love them dearly. Each and every one of them.
Sweet
All three of them.
home
Except Mason.
Alabama.
Mason, you said you were going to sign up for the $1 a month club and you haven't.
Yes. Okay. Oh, by the way, our podcast email is bigturkeypodcast@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel can be found if you look up Big Turkey Podcast. We have an Instagram that is known as Big Turkey Podcast. If you go to anchor.fm/Big Turkey, hence, there's a lot of stuff that involves our name that is Big Turkey.
Big turkey.
We are the one and the only champions of the paranormal.
So we are going to get the ball rolling and move on to something else here, but we just kind of scratched on the surface of this insane asylum. If you guys really want to dig into
we
it,
did hit the big stories. There are small
Yeah.
stories of like hauntings all over
Yeah,
that town. It's a creepy ass town.
if you guys want to dig a little deeper into that, there's plenty of information for the insane asylum all over Google. So you can always dig a little deeper than what we kind of tip. We just always hit the tip of the iceberg, I want to say.
Straight on the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, the iceberg. That's the iceberg.
Okay. Guys, can you guess what we're going to talk about next?
I think
Something
I can.
that many podcasts do not talk about, that I haven't heard, at least the popular ones around here in Ohio. We are going to talk about the Mud House Mansion. Do you know what the Mud House Mansion is? Had you heard of it before tonight?
Yes.
Honest, I know you have. Have you?
Honest before tonight, I want to say that I've heard it on like a whim, but I don't think I've ever really dug into it. You know what I mean?
The Mud House Mansion is similar to Woolly Burger. If you have not listened to our Woolly Burger episode, you can find us on all podcast platforms, including anchor.fm/Big Turkey. You can find us, and if you go there, it'll tell you where to listen. Woolly Burger is another haunted attraction here in Ohio that has so many legends revolving around it, like many other places do, like the one we are talking about currently. The Mud House Mansion, outside of Lancaster, has a dark legend among the locals that live there.
The locals.
Yes. There are many local tales and legends about the origin of the hauntings in the Mud House Mansion. One legend states that a government official lived there after the Civil War and kept its slaves. So, yes, many people confuse it. There were slaves in Ohio, and it was proven, but many people didn't talk about this. So, moving on, it was pretty unheard of, but it still happened, unfortunately. It is told that people locked their slaves, or this man and this local authority, we don't have the name, had locked his slaves in the outbuilding every night and treated them like shit. So, I mean, like you would think, you have a real big piece of crap here. One night, a man got real tired of it, and he lost it. He dug his way out. Fine, right?
Yeah, he kept them locked up in like an outbuilding, basically.
Yeah. He dug his way out, got out. He was enraged. He entered the house and slaughtered the official and his entire family. It is said that spirits of these people, which haunt the house, are the homeowners and not the slaves themselves. So they were murdered, but they also that's kind of like take it as you will. I don't know if I want to say what goes around comes around, because like he not necessarily didn't need to murder him, but I'm sure there was a reason. I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean.
So according to a local legend, there was a man who actually bought the house in 1892, and he moved there with his wife and 3 children. Neighbors never saw them until they entered the house, and they thought it was very weird that a family would spend all their times indoor, which is, I guess, kind of weird.
5 people in the family.
At this time, people didn't have cell phones and TVs, so that is kind of odd. Especially during that period of time when you are farming to get your food and hunting. Yeah. One neighbor went out to the house to investigate as he could, and he saw a figure of a woman dressed in white standing on the at the second floor window. The figure was just standing there staring at her. So, whatever. I mean, he goes and checks the house out. He sees the woman. He's like, okay, everything must be fine.
Yep.
The following day, the neighbor checked again and saw the figure again standing on the same position. She checked for 10 days after and saw the same figure. It had not moved. It was just standing there, what she thought was the top of the stairs. On the 10th day, she called the police, and when the police came to investigate, they were met with a terrible sight. Word for word, I got this.
Had phones back then?
No, she was like, please! All the 5 family members were hanging, lifeless, dressed in white nightgowns. Hanging from the rafters of the ceiling.
Yep.
So what that lady saw wasn't the lady standing at the top of the stairs. She was actually
hanging,
unfortunately hanging. So that's unfortunate. So she'd been hanging there for several days. The Mudhouse Mansion is said to be the home of. So we're going to take a pause because another origin story. Of course, there's multiple. So imagine being that nosy neighbor, like peeking in the windows of your neighbor's house that don't want nothing to do with you. You're like, oh, she's standing at the top of the stairs staring at me. Okay, I'll just leave. Come back 10 days in a row, and you're like, oh, she's still there, in the same spot. That's weird. You didn't think to peek around and see the other 4 bodies hanging with her.
No.
And what's odd, like we watched a YouTube video about the same thing, is that all 5 of them were hung.
Yep.
So.
Even the kids.
I don't know if this ties into the slave story where the slave broke out and he murdered them. It could be the same story but just told differently. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know.
Well, the way I kind of understood it was that the people were murdered, and then several years later someone had bought the house, and then the new family had all, unfortunately,
been murdered as well.
Or committed suicide.
Because
whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah. Did
No.
you see that?
No.
I hope the fucking... I hope the video caught that.
What?
The flag just lifted up behind you.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, this house has been haunted for a while.
So, also, another origin story. The Mudhouse Mansion is said to be the home of the original Bloody Mary. If you say her names 3 or 5 times while standing in front of the mirror, she will appear. Children in the town even called the Mudhouse the House of Mary. According, like the House of Waffle. According to tradition and folklore, all of her children were killed either by her or her husband, unfortunately. A woman named a woman explored the house in 2001. She recalls hearing a group of people moving around the second floor of the house. She went upstairs to talk to the people who she assumed were there causing noise and trouble, but there was nobody to be found in the house. So the mansion's neighbors reported hearing shrieks and groans coming from the empty mansion that was abandoned. The true fact is the Mud House Mansion was built sometime between 1840 and 1850. Christian and Eleanor Rogue purchased the property where the Mud House Mansion now stands from Henry Byler and Abram Keg. Sorry, I got distracted. What are you doing on your phone?
I was looking up more research.
Watching porn.
The property then sold to Henry and Martha Hartman in 1919. When Henry died, the property was inherited by his daughter Lulu. Her descendants still own the property and the land around it. The mansion is called Hartman's Place. No one has lived in the home since the 1930s, and a group of hippies in the 1960s did call it their home for a short period. The grand structure has been damaged and vandalized and broken into many times. And according to Aaron's research, the house was demolished in 2015. But another house stands in the same property is actually where the family lives.
Okay, so the actual address is 4730.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we won't give out the road.
Well, I mean, it's abandoned. It's gone. The
Yeah,
house,
those
okay.
people don't. Okay. Let me note this real quick before you
We-
say that. Today, there are guards watching over the property. Whoever is caught trespassing is prosecuted. Some trespassers have even claimed they have been shot at after stepping on the property without permission. So
Okay.
do not go to that property. Big Turkey
No,
does not go to that.
So, okay. It was officially demolished September 21st, 2015. So the Mud House Mansion is completely gone. There is another house. It's not an extraordinary house or anything like that the property owner lives on.
Mhm.
And they do have full-time security there because they got tired of everyone trying to come onto their property
How
and
can they
take
know?
pictures and investigate. So the lady, I read that the
Let's
lady,
call her.
I read that the lady spends what must equate to like a full-time job prosecuting all of these people that come on her property or even stop to take pictures. But regardless, the property is officially no longer the home of the Mud House Mansion. It's been demolished. But the Ridges is still standing.
Obviously, something did happen at this Mud House Mansion. That there was two houses on the property, and they wouldn't live in that one property
Well-
since the 30s. So obviously, some spooky shit was going on.
You
And then the hippies inhabited it.
you
I'm sure
might-
it smelled like fucking pot and nastiness after that.
You might be able to say that, but keep in mind, a lot of times mansions do get abandoned, and then Mike Tyson has an abandoned
Listen,
mansion in Ohio.
listen to this story. We were on an expedition looking for Helltown. And we found remnants of it, the actual. But during that time, we ran into kids that were also up there. This was in high school, and they were like, "What is Helltown?" And we were like, "Oh,
You
okay."
don't know.
They're like, "The only cool thing around here that's kind of like creepy is Mike Tyson's abandoned mansion that has a tiger cage." And we were like, "What?"
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
But anyway, these mansions get abandoned, and then they sit dormant for a little while, and then they get so costly to repair. People build a new house versus trying to fix up the old one. I mean, that mansion, once it gets abandoned, the amount of money that it takes to get it back to like livable conditions is astronomical. That's why these mansions sometimes sit dormant.
Yeah. You see
So
it
that,
all.
I mean, this all could be a big old wives' tale. It could have just been, it fell too far in disrepair and they couldn't afford to fix it, so they just built a new house.
Where Aaron lives, he lives down in Atlanta, Ohio, which is about 30 minutes south of me, which I'm 25 to 30 minutes south of Columbus, so he lives about an hour outside of Columbus.
Yeah.
He's got an old abandoned school that sits there, and it's all boarded up. The township, we need to get township's permission to go inside of it, and I think that'd be a cool
Yeah, I
place
don't
to go.
actually live in Atlanta.
Is
I
it-
live outside of Atlanta. But there is an abandoned school. Actually, if you drive through Atlanta and really take a second and look, I would
It
say-
all looks abandoned.
like more than half the houses. I would say half the houses.
There's
in
an
that town are
old
abandoned.
sycamore tree that's sitting in front of somebody else's house that's
Yep.
abandoned.
Yep.
And this thing is like, it's covering their front door. It's
Yep.
huge.
I mean, that town.
10-foot diameter.
The whole town's basically been abandoned.
Is that school rumored to be haunted or anything like that?
I'm sure
I mean,
it is.
you got to think Atlanta might have 30 people living in it right now. So if there is any local legend, then it's going to take a lot to get it pushed anywhere because it's so small.
Yeah.
But I mean,
You
it's
go
just an
around
old
asking.
boarded up schoolhouse. That's actually where my grandfather went to school.
Well, that's cool.
This could be an idea. We could go around that city and ask people if they know any legends around that area.
Ah, that's too much work.
Yeah, we don't actually put in the legwork here.
What are you talking about? Listen,
Find out a whole new legend.
we are coming out with the Crybaby Bridge a video,
Yes.
which covers all the Crybaby bridges in America. And we are doing a travel trip where we will have a 4K resolution camera on us with a film crew. So it should be pretty freaking fun. And that's only going to be like a 15-minute little documentary on YouTube, but there's a lot of effort being put into it
Yeah, it's
right now.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big deal when that comes out.
Um,
We're going to be at all those Paracon, CryptidCon, the Mothman Festival. We'll be wearing our big turkey gear. If you come up to us, you could win a t-shirt, but we will definitely have giant business cards to hand out, which business cards meaning they just have our logo and where to find us, listen to us, and stickers. So if you want a sticker for your car or anything, yeah. And if you would rate and subscribe to us on iTunes, Google, any listening platform, and you send us a picture, I've got a stack of stickers in this planner's cup right here, and I will send you one free of charge.
I thought that's where we were putting the
Yeah,
big turkey fund money.
it is in there too.
Oh, off $2.
All right, we're going to sign off of our audio program. Please come back next week. This one was actually a fun episode. They're all fun, but this one was a fun researched episode. We will come back. If you have any suggestions, email bigturkeypodcast@gmail.com. This has been fun. You guys have a good week.
Did you hear that in the back room?
Hold on. We're going to leave the camera running for a second. This is going to be Haunted Ohio.
Haunted Ohio.
I think that's going to be a segment on other episodes.
Oh yeah.
I think we did pretty good. I don't think we cussed hardly at all.
He dropped the F-bomb.
It'll be fine.
I said
You're talking about jerking
Ah,
off.
there. The camera's still running.
Oh.
All right. Oh, it's so hot.
Check if you got that flag.